intuitive business and success coach known as the Get It Done Expert. And I am here this week for your video tip to share with you about a common problem that I see happening with clients very often, and especially with women. And that is the other shoe is going to drop syndrome. So I'm sure most of you know what I'm speaking about. And for those of you internationally, I will explain a little bit further in case you haven't heard this phrase. What happens is a lot of women can set their sights on something or set a goal and they're going to achieve it, and there's this energy around like, well, what's going to happen to sabotage that from happening? What is going to take place that would prevent you from achieving that goal per se? And I really want to encourage all of you to begin to take a stand for what your goal is and to begin to take a stand for accomplishing that goal no matter what. 80% of you accomplishing any goal has to do with what's in between your temples. So if you believe it and you really trust that the universe is showing up and conspiring on your behalf to create what it is that you desire within your heart, and you've put it out there, your job is to then trust that that's going to happen. It doesn't mean that you're not taking inspired action steps. Absolutely, that's your job. So let's say you want to invest in a coaching program, for example, and the coaching program maybe is like $10,000 and you are committed to coming up with that money and making it happen. The desires within your heart have not been placed there for you to be tortured by them. They've been placed in your heart and they are uniquely your own for you to experience them. But you have to do the work that it takes for them to manifest. And so the work that it takes for them to manifest is, number one, you have to set a clear and concise goal around your desire. So if your desire is to invest with a certain coach at a certain amount of money, then you have to be clear about how much that costs and when you need that money by. The more specific you can be and the more clear and concise that you can be, the better and the faster things will happen for you. The second step is for you to begin paying attention to signs that may come into play for you, like you might have an idea to contact previous clients of your own and offer a new program or something. So what are some ways and so what are some inspirations that you're getting that you can follow and take action on to create the money that you have desired to create? Another thing for you to do is to stay open to things that you may not have thought about happen. I'll give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, I was on the phone with a client in Paris and I heard this horrific loud noise, and someone had actually hit one of my trees in my yard. And within 10 days, the insurance company had given me a check for a certain amount of money. I mean, I had no idea that someone was going to hit my tree, let alone that an insurance company would be so on top of things and literally cut me a check within 10 days for a lot more than I know that I can go ahead and pay someone to replace the tree for. So there's a little bit of an extra bit of money there for me that I wasn't expecting. So that's just another way that if you stay open to miracles and you stay open to, another example could be like, back in October, I had heard from a previous client and she was like, hey, I want to work with you. I'm ready to pay you in full today. I mean, if I wasn't staying open to miracles, that would never have been on my radar. I never would have been open to receiving that. So one of your jobs is also to stay in the mode of receiving. So back to this whole waiting for the other shoe to drop thing. Typically, when this energy begins to take place, it is the 11th hour. So let's say you're like, all right, I've got to come up with this $10,000 and I've got to come up with it by XYZ date, and that's the date that like you can get a discounted rate with the coach that you want to coach with, for example. And let's say it's maybe 2 days before the date, or even if you set a monthly income goal. Let's say you have a monthly income goal of creating $15,000 and it's, here it is, February, end of February, and you're not quite seeing that money manifest yet. Most women will go into disappointment because you've been conditioned to go into being disappointed versus really taking a stand for what it is that you have chosen to set your sights on. And so you let the other shoe drop. you choose to let the other shoe drop versus saying, I am not available for this, and I am going to continue to believe and have faith and trust in God that this is coming into my life. I have a purpose and an intention for it. So you have your goal, you're very specific and concise, you have the $10,000, you know exactly what you want that money for. That's another piece of this, is knowing exactly what you want that money for. And then at the 11th hour, really staying in the trust and the faith that the universe will deliver. And there are times where maybe it doesn't happen, and that's not the time to go into, you know, it's happening for everyone else and it's not happening for me. This is the time for you to recognize this was not in divine timing for you. It doesn't mean you stop setting goals. It doesn't mean you don't listen to the desires within your heart. And it most certainly doesn't mean that you disconnect from your source. That is actually the fastest way to go in the opposite direction and not be getting what you want. So really staying in the energy of trusting and knowing, and like, listen, you know, your next breath is there for you. This whole time you've been watching this video, your next breath shows up for you without fail. And so your job is to trust the way that you naturally assume and expect that next breath of air to be there for you to stay alive and to stay breathing and alive and well. You need to trust at that depth that every desire within your heart has been uniquely placed there for you, and it is meant to be experienced. So I hope you can begin to shift out of this energy of waiting for the other shoe to drop or thinking that everything is happening for everyone else and not for you, and really trusting and knowing that life is here for you. Life loves you uniquely. You are a gift in this world, and that everything that you desire within your heart is meant to be experienced. And your job is to stay in love and to stay in faith. Thanks for tuning in for this week, everyone. Have a great rest of the day, and